Hey, what's going on, RC drivers? Welcome back to the workshop. Perhaps you heard about No Prep RC drag racing. It's probably one of the most talked about segments in RC right now, and rightfully so. It's really exciting what's going on. Lots of events popping up everywhere with huge cash payouts and everything. Really exciting. And of course, with that comes a lot of new vehicle offerings, a lot of new part offerings from a bunch of different manufacturers. And of course, Traxxas got into it as well because a lot of people have based their builds off of Traxxas vehicles, more specifically the Slash. And Traxxas has been teasing us with the Drag Slash for quite some time now, and I have one on the bench to check out. This truck looks fast and fun just standing still. This is the new Traxxas Drag Slash, and for those of you that are new to the hobby, it's a ready-to-run two-wheel drive brushless drag truck. All you're gonna need to run it is some batteries, a charger, and of course a strip to run it down. This is going to be a lot of fun. Now let's get into the details, and first up we're going to start with the body. It's a great interpretation of a 1967 Chevrolet C10 drag truck, and check out the color on this. We got the red. It comes in a variety of different colors actually. There's a blue, white, black, green. There's probably some other colors that I forgot, but basically you can get a bunch of different colors between some friends and go out and have fun drag racing together. This is a great entry-level truck. But back to the body here, check out the detail on the grille. That's a molded grille up front there, molded headlights, molded front bumper, just incredible detail. Love the way that looks. And you could go ahead and put LED lights in there if you want to. Moving a little bit farther back, the lines on this truck are really nice. I love how the bed is tubbed out for the wheels. Really cool look. It's got a fuel cell decal in the back, and it's got a molded spoiler. So if this thing does flip over, it's not gonna get wrecked. Really like the look of that. Let's go and check out the back of it. It's got the Chevrolet logo back there, some taillights, another molded bumper. Very cool look. Now it does have decals for the windshield and the windows on this. Really wish this was clear, but it's got a cool look to it, so I guess we'll let it slide for now. But clear windows really would have been nice on this Traxxas. It does use body clips to secure the body. 4 body posts, stick up out of the body shell itself. But really nice look. Everything's pre-cut from the factory. You don't have to do anything. Comes out of the box just like this, except you have to go and install the wheelie bar on. So I've already gone ahead and done that. That's just 4 screws that are in the package. But let's pull off the body so we can check out what's underneath. Let's just look under the body really quick. There's that front grille area where you can go and put the LED lights. Even the wing is braced in the back. Really good look to that body. All right, now let's check out the Drag Slash chassis. All right, so if this chassis looks familiar, that's because it is. It's a Slash chassis, the LCG Slash chassis. It's kind of in the name of the truck. So a lot of what you see here is going to look familiar, but when you look closer at it, you'll start to see some changes. And we'll start off at the front with this new front bumper on here. So this is new to the Traxxas catalog. We've got a lower plate here that mounts up to the classic bulkhead that Traxxas has on so many of their vehicles. And we've got this new top plate as well, and the foam bumper up front, which really helps support the front of the body so the front doesn't jitter as you're going down the straightaway. But this is really nice. I mean, a lot of people were using bandit bumpers on their custom builds, and it's nice that they have a dedicated bumper to this vehicle now. Now, outside of the bulkhead, you'll see these arms. These are bandit arms. They're not a Slash arm. The reason why everybody goes with bandit arms is because it narrows up the platform a bit and makes it look more scaled to the drag bodies that everybody's using today. We also have our standard steering knuckles and caster blocks from Traxxas, our standard shock tower that we've seen on so many vehicles. And actually this front body mount, we've seen this before on some of the monster trucks. They just flipped it upside down and have the body post sticking up and out to support the body, which does a great job. It does flex a little bit, so if you're gonna go and use a different body on there, just make sure that you have a foam front bumper to help really support everything so that you don't get that body jitter flex going on that could maybe rob some performance off of your times. Just wanted to throw that out there that I noticed the flex on those. But we do have adjustable tie rods, which is really cool. And then we've got the twin crank steering that we've seen on so many Traxxas vehicles, and that mounts to this lower skid plate here. As you can see, The chassis is the gray version. There's a number of different colors for this LCG chassis. They also make different colored lower plates as well, and I really like the darker gray version. The blue one that we have on our two-wheel drive Slash looks pretty cool, but I'm really digging this gray. And as you can see, we've got the standard Nerf bars on the side. This is one thing where I kind of wish Traxxas amped it up a little bit. I mean, you know, they built the EXO that has all these really cool ground effects on there. It would have been cool if they came up with some unique side amps to go on instead of, you know, these Nerf bars, but you know, these do the job of supporting the body. We've got our standard receiver box that we've seen before and our standard battery strap. This might have been a cool spot to replace with a new part as well. I really like the swivel type of strap that's on the TRX4. That would have been cool if they adapted that here, but it does work. It's just one body clip to get the strap out. And everything else is pretty much the same in the center section as a Slash. Let me just show you over here. There is the servo saver on the bell crank steering. Simple linkage over to the servo. Plastic servo horn. We'll get to the servo makeup in a little bit, but let's move on to the back of the car. And this is a new rear shock tower. So we've got lower body mounts on the rear shock tower now, and they still have the 4 holes. So if you go and get a Slash body mount, you can put that on and use aftermarket bodies with it. Now, one thing I didn't talk about in the front, and now that I'm here at the back, is the shock. So they use front shocks in the front, obviously, with some bump stops, and then front shocks in the rear to keep the suspension low, because you don't need long travel shocks on an on-road car. Obviously, that's for off-road. So it's nice that they went and put a shorter shock on the rear, and of course that lower tower accommodates that. Now, I did go and find out that they use 20 weight oil in the front shocks and 60 weight oil in the rear shocks. So that's really cool. That's really cool that they don't have their standard, I think, 30 weight oil throughout like they do on many of their vehicles. This is tuned out of the box, so I like that they went ahead and did that, so you don't have to worry about changing your oils out as soon as you get the car if you want to go and, you know, maybe take it down the drag strip at a local club race. All right, with that said, let's move on to some of the other rear suspension parts, kind of your standard Traxxas hub that we've seen before. These are banded arms. We've got adjustable tie rods up top as well. You know, stuff we've seen, but stuff that we know works. Now we could get into, I guess, the transmission. Now, this is a big change for the Traxxas Drag Slash. A lot of people are talking about this transmission. This is the Magnum 272, and it's been totally redesigned from the classic transmission. This one has a spider gear style of differential in it, where the old one had a planetary style. What's also really nice about this transmission, or the differential I should say, is it's sealed. It comes with 500,000 weight oil from the factory. The old transmission didn't have a sealed differential in it. People would have to pack it with grease or even silicone earplugs or something to try to get that differential locked up. With still a little bit of give, but now with this one, it's tunable. You can go put whatever oil that you want to inside the differential, which is pretty awesome. There's some large outdrive bearings on the differential. I noticed that. All metal gears on the inside. Pretty low gear design in terms of where the idler and top shaft sit. And here's another big change that I absolutely love. It now has an aluminum motor plate on there. You know, with the plastic motor plate, it could kind of warp over time if you really crank down on the screws for the motor, which, you know, could cause problems if you go and swap out the pinion gear on there. But with this new aluminum motor plate, much, much better. And on the outside, under this gear cover is a slipper clutch. Really like the look of this. I've kind of had some of it apart already. Pretty easy to get the gear cover off, just 2 screws, and then to get the transmission out. It's pretty much like the old one, so not too much more work there. Another cool feature about this transmission, it has an access hatch on the bottom, so you could drop out the differential for service. And then I really like the pivot mount. It's integrated into the transmission again, and maybe they could have made that separate, but they really bulked up that bracing for that lower pivot. So I like that at least they did that to the transmission. And the gear cover is fitted, or it does have this bump here, so if you want to go put that aftermarket sensor in there, if you really want to geek out on some telemetry stuff. And then it looks like they have new slider drive shafts in here. These are a gray material. They've got a lot more material around the yoke, so hopefully this will hold up to all sorts of power that you put through this. It's definitely going to hold up to the Valenian system that's in there. All right, now right behind the transmission is this new mount, which is fantastic. The old transmission had this mount that kind of twisted and stuff, and when you would launch, It would kind of twist the wheelie bar a little bit, but this looks really solid now to support the new 10-inch wheelie bar. And I measured that from the mounting screw all the way to the back here. That does not include the wheels, but it seems to be a pretty rigid structure, a little bit of flex, nice cross bracing throughout. And then they do give you 2 wheel sets. So this is the larger set that comes on it. And then they have a smaller diameter wheel in the package as well. So good looking stuff. And, you know, again, it's stuff that we've kind of seen before. It's a Drag Slash. So we were kind of expecting a lot of similar parts. And what's great about that is that means that all the hobby shops out there already have most of the parts for this truck in case you do need to replace something. All right, let's talk about the wheels and tires on here. So we have drag specific wheels and tires. These are Weld racing style wheels, look really good. Love the black chrome on there, 12 millimeter hex, your 7 millimeter nylon lock nuts holding everything down. And then up front we have Mickey Thompson ET front tires, a little bit of rib to that front tire. And then in the back we have the Mickey Thompson MT drag slicks. And look at the size of those things. They do feel a little sticky from the factory. I think they're gonna have some really good traction. There is a honeycomb pattern inside. You can kind of see it coming through the tire already. These tires are scuffed up, so you can kind of see the honeycomb in there. That just helps reinforce that tire so it doesn't expand. It's not a belted tire, but they do have a urethane insert in there to help support the inner tire. And I really like the way this thing looks. I mean, those wheels look fantastic. It looks like they did a great job of replicating the Mickey Thompson drag slicks. And you know, from what I could see so far, it's probably gonna work really well, you know, right out of the box. This thing is just going to be a blast. All right, now let's move on to the electronics. We've got the Millennium VXL 3S system in here. It handles 2 to 3S LiPo batteries. And then, you know, we've got the big ID plug, which makes right up to the Traxxas power cells. Inside the receiver box is the TQI receiver with TSM. I'll talk about TSM in just a minute. And then out back here, we've got the Millennium motor, the 3500, and they give you 2 pinion gears. So they give you a standard running pinion gear with the package, and then a high-speed pinion gear as well. So if you want to take it to the strip and run this thing at its full potential, you can go and swap out the gear. And they give you the motor insert as well, which sets the pinion mesh for you. I didn't mention that before when talking about the motor plate, but they have that, which is really nice for those of you that don't like setting your pinion gear mesh. And for steering, we have the 2075 servo, which is a standard servo. It should work fine for this truck. And one other thing to throw out there, the transmission does ride on all ball bearings. You guys probably already figured that out. All right, let me go and show you what else comes in the box. So this is everything else that comes with the Drag Slash. Of course, you get some decals, you get your instruction manual, you get some preload clips for the shocks, which is pretty important. Bag full of body clips and foam spacers for the battery. Here's that extra pinion gear with the motor insert to help set the pinion mesh. And then there's the 2 small wheels, some tools to work on the truck, and then the TQI radio system. But before I get to the TQI radio system, just one thing. Make sure you read through your manual that comes with it. There's some great reading material in there, especially for getting this rig set up. So if you go down the strip and it kind of veers in one direction, they'll go through in the manual how to set up your shocks and move preload clips around to stop that. And you know, it happens with high-powered drag cars. They may veer off to one side, but it's really cool that they went and told you how to tune it so that doesn't happen. All right, with that said, let's talk about the TQI radio system. Looks kind of similar to what we've seen before. However, there's this switch now instead of a lever switch. And this is just a press button type of switch. And what that allows you to do is have trans brake. Now this is set up so when you go and push that red button and pull full throttle, you now have 100% throttle when you let off that button, which basically allows you to launch the truck at full throttle. That is really cool. I think that's going to be a lot of fun for those of you that are just out in the parking lot and you want to do some hard launches. That's a pretty cool setup. Now, it also has TSM in the system, and there's a lot of people talking about it shouldn't have had TSM. Let's just talk about that. You can shut the TSM off. TSM stands for Traxxas Stability Management. It's basically like a gyro that helps give you input in the car to help it keep under control. And so if you're a new driver, this is a great tool for you to practice with. You get to, get a feel for the car, learn how it drives, and then when you've mastered that, if you want to, you could go and shut it off. And you have to do that if you go enter any type of competitions. But I like that it has it in here. You could shut it off. It just helps the new person, learn how to drive the vehicle instead of crashing it all the time, which may frustrate some people. Now, what's also pretty cool in there is it's a TSM function where you could go and shut it off for your pass down the strip, yet still have TSM under braking, which keeps the car stable when you're hard under braking after you cross the finish line. It's another spot where people can crash their cars. So that's pretty cool that you could go and tweak that and really tweak the system depending on what type of driver you are. Now again, this is pretty much a ready-to-run entry-level drag car, and I think that's the way we need to look at this vehicle. There's a lot of pro guys out there that are fast drivers that are saying this should have been done, that should have been done, but this is really built for people that want, number one, love this style of truck, number two, want to get into drag racing, or three, maybe just want to race some friends. So I think they've done a great job here in creating a all-around package that works and is just going to be a blast to drive. So with that said, let's head outside and see what it does for a couple passes. All right, guys, finally found a good spot to go and run the Drag Slash. This parking lot has a little bit of a rise to it, but it's the best spot that we could find. I've got my friend Al over there. He's doing some final checks to the DTS system, making sure that we have 132 feet. He's aligning the beams on the system, and we're just going to go take this thing for a rip. It's stock out of the box with a 2S LiPo battery in it. All right, guys, we're going to do some practice runs first. I forgot my carpet, so we're going to do old-fashioned burnout. Up the tires a bit. All right, first practice run. And go. Whew. Pretty smooth. All right, let's go for another pass. Get a little heat in the tires again. A little bit of body rub on the front. All right, we'll do another burnout. Low RPM. And another test run. That was good. Oh, nice and smooth under braking. Stays straight. That TSM is definitely working. All right, let's do some real runs now. All right, this time we're gonna try the trans brake. And go. Oh, that was pretty awesome. So unfortunately, my DTS doesn't seem to be working. It's brand new and it's just not linking up with each other. And I called Traxxas customer support. Shout out to Zach over there who really tried to help me out, sent me some information. Got it working once, but it's just not working again when I came out to try it out. So I am just gonna throw the camera on my head, do some passes with the different packs, turn TSM on and off, and show you guys what this could do. And next time that I could go out and run it at a strip, maybe head up to RC Madness, I'll bring it and I'll get you some times then. We'll do another video. But I gotta show you this thing running, so I'll go crank it up. All right, so for this one, we're still on 2S. It is still stock out of the box. And we'll do a quick little burnout here. I don't have a carpet with me, but it seems to work pretty well on asphalt. Once you do get a little burnout in, settle the car in by pushing down on it, and let's just take off. Oh, kicked a little sideways there. Might have to do a little bit more of a burnout on there. The tires are still cold. But man, that thing looks good out there, doesn't it? All right, so this one I'm gonna go and turn TSM totally off. Still all stock, 2S. Do a little bit more of a burnout this time. Starting to get some heat in it. All right, there we go. All right, this is with TSM off. Whoa. Wow. Yeah. That just really pulled. All right, let me get a little more heat in the tires. Half throttle on this one. All right, here we go. I might have to roll into it. We'll see how it goes. That was a hard launch. That was a hard launch. Nice. All right, let's see. All right, settle it in. Here we go. Nice, that's what it needs. A little more heat in the tires. Wandered a little bit. All right, that's what it needs. Without TSM, you really got to get the heat in the tires, push the truck down, and then it takes off. You know what, let's do one more run, TSM back on, and we'll do the trans brake. All right, so ready? Hold the button, pull the throttle, let go. Nice launch. Killer. All right, that's cool. All right, I'm gonna go swap the gears out so we can see this thing with the optional gear. All right, so the bigger optional pinion gear is in there. We have a 7600 milliamp 2S LiPo battery from Traxxas in there, and the radio system is back to normal. We got the TSM on, so I'm gonna do a quick burnout and we'll see how this thing rips. All right, settle it down, one push, and go. Oh yeah, you could definitely hear it winding up a lot more at the top end. Took off pretty straight. Pretty cool, guys. The truck just looks so good out there. I will say that. It's all scuffed up, but that's part of the job, is just to rip on this thing. So we'll back off on the TSM this time, do another burnout. There we go. Settle it in and rip on it. Whoa, a little sideways. Oh, wow. It's a handful. That was a handful. Wow. All right. A little bit of driving in that one. Let's give it one more shot. I've already gone and tweaked the suspension. All right, there we go. All right, no TSM pull. Ooh, oh, little rough, little rough. Might need some more tuning for that. All right, while the TSM is on, let's just do one more trans brake pull on this and we'll wrap it up. Hold the button, full throttle, let the button go. Nice. That was definitely way better. So stable at the end with the TSM on. That should be really helpful for new guys getting into this while they learn how to drive it. All right, you know what? I have my speed meter with me. Let me just see if I can get a speed on this thing. All right, so I've got the speed meter in. I've already measured out 132 feet. I'm gonna do my best to let off when it hits the yellow marker down there, and hopefully we'll give you some sort of speed so you get an idea of what this thing could do. All right, let me do another quick burnout. Again, it's got the high-speed gear in there and a 2S pack. And go. All right, I think I was pretty close. Slowing it down, let's bring it back. Wonder what we got. Man, that thing just looks good coming at you. I think I'd want to stand at the other end just to watch it all the time. All right, 44 miles an hour. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I got it close. I shut it down close to that yellow marker. So let's just go again. Let me reset this. All right. So button on, full throttle, let it go. Man, it might have been a little late letting off. We'll see how it did. All right, what's it gonna be? 45, pretty awesome. All right, it's fast for me. Let's throw a 3S pack in there. All right, now this is my last run for today. It's on a 3S pack now with the high-speed gear. I still got TSM on. Let's take it for a rip. Already sounds mean. All right, and we'll do trans brake too. Full throttle, let it go. Oh God, wow. It just checked right up off the line. Let's go. Oh, 3S is just a bit much, I think. All right, let's go. I think 3S is just way too much for those of you that just want to rip on this thing. It's gonna take some driving practice, I think, but let's head back to the workshop and wrap up the review. All right, so let's wrap this one up. Obviously, I wasn't able to get you any speed trap times on this. You know, the GTS one wasn't working. Tried my best to get it up and running. I actually spent 5 hours working on that thing. When I talked to Traxxas, they said it's just not up to date and not compatible with some of the devices that are out today. That may have been my problem. So I actually have some older iPhone stuff that I'm gonna try on it, and maybe I could get back out, get some times on it with it. But worst case is I'm gonna go up to RC Madness and hopefully run it there, get some times on it. But I was able to get a good feel for the car, and it is a blast to drive, and you have to drive it. Drag cars without assist need some driving, and unfortunately this does have some assist to it. It has the TSM, which we talked about during the performance runs, and that really helps this truck out. And for those of you that are buying this as a first-time drag car, you want to get into drag racing, just want to go out with some friends, that is going to work for you. The TSM is just going to get you hooked up right out of the box, and you're going to enjoy it. And once you have your driving down, that's when you could go and turn back on the TSM and eventually shut it off, and maybe even compete in organized racing if you have a local club near you. But on 2S, it was fast. It was a lot of fun to drive with the TSM, just took off nice and straight. And under braking at the end, that's where I was really impressed with the TSM, just kept it straight, because when I shut the TSM off, under braking, it does get sideways, even if I was able to get a straight line pass out of it. So I threw on the GPS speed meter just to give you guys some sort of feel for a top end speed. Obviously, I try to shut it down exactly at 132 feet. I may have been off, give or take a few feet or whatever. Was able to get it up to 44. That was even using the trans brake. I think I hit 45 using the trans brake, which is really cool. It's a lot of fun to use that. Obviously, you can't use it in organized racing, but again, this is fun. This is all about fun right here and getting you into a drag truck. And Traxxas, they put a good package together here. So 45, pretty decent speed out of it for a 2S. You know, it's 45 with that high speed gear in there. You know, it definitely has some extra power to it. So it's a good progression. You know, out of the box with the stock gear, it gets you to learn about the truck, and then you can throw the faster gear in there. You get some more speed out of it. So it's really a system system where you could go and learn and grow into it, and then modify the truck later on down the road if you want to. If you really get hooked on no prep drag racing, there's plenty of option parts out there for this vehicle. On 3S, it was pretty much really hard to drive, to be honest. I mean, you would need a lot of throttle control. Even with the TSM on, it still got sideways, it checked up, and I had to back out of it, and then eventually it just thermaled, and by the time everything cooled down, it started to rain outside. So that's why I didn't go back for another 3S pass to see if I get some top speed out of it for you, but it is a fast car. It is a fun car. It took some hits. I launched this thing off of the DTS1. I was just trying to get some good footage for you guys, and missed my mark and launched it off the DTS1, and the body's all scratched up, and it actually broke the back of the body right where the tailgate meets the rear fender panel. So that's a bit of a bummer that the body cracked basically on the first crash. There is a little wobble in the rear suspension. I noticed that, so you might want to get some shims for that, especially if you're really got to concentrate on driving this thing during some organized racing. There's a little bit of slop there, so that's just something to be aware of. The front tires do rub on the body when you're turning the thing around, but not when you're going straight. That's the most important part. Other than that, very cool truck, a lot of fun. It does have a $500 price tag, and that's got some people squawking online about it. But you know what? Those people, same people are saying I could build it cheaper. Well, you were probably going to build one anyway, so you don't have to spend $500 on it. You could still buy some other Traxxas parts and go that route. But for those of you that just want something where you could just take it out of the box, have fun, and drive it, have a blast with it, the $500 is probably worth it for you. And again, you could grow into the car later on down the road if you do want to progress farther in the hobby. So, it is what it is. I think there's going to sell a ton of them. There seems to be a ton of people that are happy about it and they're willing to pay the price. And that's what this hobby is all about. You have there's something for everyone out there, and especially with Traxxas, they have a lot of cool stuff to offer. All right, let me know what you think about the Drag Slash in the comments section below. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell. Throw the video a like. We'll see you back soon for some more RC driver videos.
All right, let's get a top speed with a 2S LiPo and the big pinion. $50 miles an hour.